You are about to embark on a 360-degree live action tour and experience the world of Siemens Gamesa. We believe in the power of nature and technology, from the very first wind turbines back in the 80s to the world's largest wind power plants. Present in more than 90 countries, with more than 90 gigawatts installed across the globe. An agile team of 25,000 strong, inspired every day to shape the future of renewable energy. Now, let's visit the real world of Siemens Gamesa and experience how our employees develop and manage successful wind projects by land, by sea, or up in the air.
Just take a look to the sensors on the wind turbine. And as you see, if we go down to the sensor readings in the cabinet, we see 39 degrees, which is of course way too high. So I advise that we send this to the service technician and advise them to bring a ventilation fan and filter for the cabin.
Thank you for joining the world of Siemens Gamesa. We make real what matters. Clean energy for generations to come.
So my name is Lorraine Allen. I'm an operations manager at the Siemens Gamesa Hull Blade Factory. And I thought I'd just show you a little bit about what we actually do in the factory. So you can see on the top left-hand side of this slide here, this is where we actually start to make the blades that fit onto the turbines that you see offshore, and in some cases on your the onshore sites when you're driving around, etc. So they start off here, and they get cast and they get packed, which is, you can see some of the technicians there who are doing that, and there's Fiona at the front there. She's one of our team leaders. So we make the blade in two halves effectively, or we pack it in two halves, and then we mold it into one big blade, and then it comes into the bits of the factory that I look after. So I'm operations manager for segments 3, 4, and 5, and that's where we take the raw blade, effectively the blade that's been cast, and we have to get it into a position where we can get it nice and smooth. Any inherent casting repairs are done, we paint it, and then if you look again over to this sort of right hand side, you can see where we park them up in the Hull factory on the offshore site, ready to go onto the vessels, along with the nacelles and the tower pieces there. So it's slightly different to some of the other sort of parts of the industry that we've heard from already, from Kirsty and sorry, from Claire and Rosa. So thank you for that. But we actually are part of the manufacturing side of it at Hull. And those of you that maybe had an opportunity to go and look at the blade in the centre of Hull when we had the City of Culture, they were a 75-metre blade. We're now manufacturing 81-metre blades. So I've worked at the Hull factory now for 5 years, basically since we started. So it's been quite a journey, really exciting. So if we move on to then, how did I get into the industry? So I started quite similar to Claire in that I, at school, didn't really see, I had the family opportunity to go to university. Financially, that wasn't an option to us, but I really loved my maths and sciences, specifically physics, and thought, well, how can I get into that sort of industry without going to university? I was always really interested in sort of practical things. As a child, my dad worked in an industry where there was a lot of large moving equipment and such like, and then he latterly started to work in the oil and gas industry and traveled the world. And I thought, look, there's a fantastic opportunity here to be able to see the world, work with your hands, use your brain to apply all the things that I like doing from a maths and science perspective. And I thought, well, I could do an apprenticeship. That looks to me like a good fit for me. A long time ago, when I was at school, I wanted to do that, and I could see that there were apprenticeships available. But my sort of careers advice at the time was, well, girls can't really do apprenticeships, so you should think about doing something else. And I thought that was really, very narrow sort of vision for people at that time, including I went to a very academic school, and so the options at that point were either went to university or you worked in an office. So I decided to go my own path and applied for various apprenticeships and ended up working for BP, and I got a technician training apprenticeship there, specifically tailored towards offshore. And I thought that would be really exciting, and it gave me an opportunity to leave home. I started working and learning at the same time, so it was a really good fit for me. So most of my career was in the offshore oil and gas industry for the last 25 years. And that was mostly offshore, but I also worked in onshore terminals. And it was a really dynamic and exciting place to work. I saw a lot of changes over those years. And in some cases, I was the first woman to work in specific areas, and specifically in the southern gas basin, which is sort of the Humberside region. I worked from right up in the far north of Scotland, but down in the southern area, I was the first woman to work offshore at all. But not long after that, I started to see a real change in the industry, and we had ladies working there, from our helicopter pilots to our chefs to our engineers to our maintenance people. So it really is a diverse place to work. And my particular role, I would work on everything from sort of domestic electrical equipment right through to HV power generation and big gas compression turbines. So it was a really varied job for me. Then I later went into a bit more sort of project, so shutdown management, turnaround management, managing bigger teams, and sort of did a lot more managerial type exposure than what I'd been used to before. And that was really good because picking on what Rosa was saying, I love working with people. I love having the team around you when you're trying to solve problems, etc. So being able to manage a team and see how they develop is really exciting for me as well. So then after sort of 25 years, I'd always worked away. I was looking for something a bit closer to home. I could see the renewables sector was starting to really pick up in this region. And I'd been interested in working for Siemens Gamesa about 4 or 5 years before we actually had the factory starting to get built in Hull. So that was where I wanted to move my career and try something new, because I'm currently in the manufacturing industry, which is completely different to what I'd done before. Okay. So I moved over to Hull 5 years ago, and a lot of that was sort of bringing up the factory from start. We didn't really know how to make a turbine at that point. Nobody had done it in the UK, or a turbine blade. So it was really exciting to be part of that journey. And now we're looking at bigger blades. We've gone from 75 to 81s already, and we sort of I see the development of the renewables industry in the UK, and I think it's just such a diverse industry for people. Anyone who wants to get into it, you can do so many jobs. There's so many opportunities, both from technical right through to sort of managerial, there for everybody. So some people were asking, what's common myths about your industry, and also what advice would you give to your younger self? So I touched on it there a little bit earlier, that some people think, oh, women have only started working in engineering recently. Well, they've been in engineering for decades. Not as many as I think I would like to see, but it is an opportunity that's really, really available to ladies and young women. Often it's seen as sort of engineering is dirty work. Absolutely not. That's not the kind of industry that we do work in the UK anymore. Engineering covers such a broad range of applications and also locations. So you can be in office based, or you can be offshore based, or you can be terminal based, port based. It really is a diverse place to work. And then also my sort of approach into the industry was sometimes people will have an opinion that doing an apprenticeship is not as good as going to university, or if you do an apprenticeship route, it doesn't mean that you can't do a degree later. You can do parallel learning. So I know people that have done open university degrees. I know people that have done day release. I know people that have taken a career break for a year to do a degree, or various levels of qualifications in between that. So sort of thinking back to my own journey and what I would give in terms of advice to young people looking at options for them again, I would say do what feels right for you. And if you think the apprenticeship route is right for you, but maybe other people are saying, well, do you think you should just go to university, or do you think you should try another route? An apprenticeship route was really good for me, and if that feels like the right route for you, please consider that, not just what you think other people should tell you to do.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lorraine. Fascinating story.